Hello, everybody. Welcome to Minorca Consciousness Group and the Cosmic Lounge. Thank you for joining us on this impromptu live discussion. We've got the wonderful Sue Townsend who's going to be joining us. So if we can bring Sue through into the studio, if we can. Hello,
Colin.
Sue. Thank you so much. Last minute thing.
I know. It's exciting, isn't it?
Amazing. Yeah, I'm so quick.
What's a pants type of thing?
Well,
Come
like
out
always,
of the dark.
It's fine, I think. Let's have a look. I was just thinking, because it's weird how it came. Last night we was talking about doing, Summit tonight on MCG, and we know what happened. It kind of just said, okay, just do something, but don't put a title or anything to it. So it was quite unusual. We put the post out at the last minute. That wasn't really feeling correct, but we knew we had to do it. And then all of a sudden, that's it. We're going with the flow. Here we both are. So Spirit's obviously got plans.
Yeah, definitely. We've got Yasmin here with us already. So hi, Yasmin. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Yasmin. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. So hopefully there'll be a few more out there joining us. The topic is going to be anything. I think we're just going to clearly going to get guided by Spirit. What I wanted to mention though, so funny enough, maybe just start off with it because there was a couple of bits. One of them actually was one of the questions we got asked last night in the group, which was, what is the difference between channeling and trance? But I kind of wanted to put that back for later, if we get time to put it in. It was what we were just talking about a minute ago. The intelligence of Spirit. Yeah. Maybe that might be a good place to start. What do you think?
I think that's it really, because it's almost like the human thinks they've got so much control over everything, and gradually it becomes a very humbling experience to realise that actually we haven't at all. Yes, we can say, oh, I'm not doing that, and dig our heels in and all the rest of it. But if we truly open up to this and go with the flow of it, that's when we can really start to appreciate the intelligence of Spirit, even though it can be baffling at times because you want to know the rest of it, but it isn't time. And that's a bit tantalising, really.
Yeah, it's like what you said, wasn't it? It's like the dangle this carrot.
Yeah.
It's like...
Probably how we all got here.
I think it is. It's like, how do we find ourselves in the spiritual space? Well, we kind of saw this big carrot. It looked juicy. So we went to grab it and found ourselves, falling over the threshold of spiritualism or something. But yeah, intelligence. I share the same too. It's difficult to comprehend, isn't it, really, I suppose, because we can only understand the intelligence of Spirit as far as our awareness can stretch, or as far as we can get our conscious mind into to those frequencies of awareness. Yet we know there's this constant thing going on, that they've got this ability, spiritual beings, beings of light, cosmic beings, etc. They have this, we know they've got this broader perspective of truth, I suppose, or reality. Reality is maybe the best way. So they can see, or they can at least sense, what I believe is so much more than what we can while we're in the body. But I don't want to limit, I don't want to make out there's a limit to our awareness. Obviously, we know there isn't. But I think we're constricted within this plane and within the physical body unless we really do the work. And like you say, it's very humbling because we know there's that bit more and then a bit more and a bit more. There's this constant, kind of truth resting on those waves of light, if you like. And Spirit know this. They're free from the shackles, the chains, the bonds of the earthly aspects. So they've got a greater clarity. I always think clarity is probably the word. Spirit's got a greater sense of clarity, and therefore they can see a lot further than what we can.
Yeah, I feel so. And also, I can look back on my own experience of moving through spirituality, all the different routes that I've taken and things. And um, spirit, I could say that they've really had a difficult walnut to crack. They've really had to dragged me through. But it's almost like that when you look at it. When I look at myself and think, I've been so damn stubborn. Oh, I'm not doing that. I'll dig my heels in. Oh, I'm not really interested in that. But by hook or crook, or however it's managed, that there's a, if you don't go the straight way and say, I surrender and I'll go, somehow you go around the houses and down the cul-de-sac and back again, and you still end up going down that route if you start to surrender and listen to spirit. So really, you've got free will as to how difficult you make it or how much you find this sense of acceptance and surrender and trust. But that's all learned, isn't it? It's all part of the unfolding, isn't it? Um, and it's not easy in the beginning because we go off on this journey and it's like the tarot card of the fool, where there you are, the fool with his little sack of goodies in his toolkit over his shoulder and his little dog by his side. And he's going to go leaping off the cliff and that. Well, it's a bit like that, isn't it? Just leaping into the unknown and having whatever we think we're going is not necessarily where we're going and going to end up.
Yeah, totally so.
So
Yeah.
amazing. I look when you can look back a bit and hindsight, you think, God, I made it so hard and so difficult for myself. Spirit guides and helps and inspires still with me. And you think, and I have difficulty trusting sometimes. Astonishing, isn't it?
It is. It absolutely is. We still question um, whether they're still there helping us as much as what we think or would like them to. And it's like, and then we've got it. For me, it's like remaining in that knowing or holding that knowing within. Um, that they've always got our best interests in. They're always present, and exactly what you said, Sue. It's this control, and it's that weird, but it's also the mechanics of it. We have this survival instinct which gets us to grasp hold of control, and it stops. It puts obstacles in the way of our mediumship, our channeling, our trance, everything across the board. And we know it doesn't matter how many times we say it. That moment of surrender is only going to come as and when it comes within each individual person. Takes us to acceptance without opening that up too much. But it is that. It's like when we're developing trance or channeling. It's like, doesn't matter how many times we say to people, just let go, let go. There's the subtle vibration of control, the grasping. Then there's a very subtle aspect of it. That where attachment comes in. We're attached to so much in the physical world that innocently the conscious mind doesn't always know or is not always aware of it. And the patience of spirit. I mean, again, we're back to an aspect of the intelligence of spirit. For me, I find their patience phenomenal.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's like they've got infinite patience with us. And we're doing exactly what you said. We're going all over the place. Just come back to that straight route and go, well, the signpost was always there. I saw it at the beginning, but I wanted to do my own thing, So just got to say a couple hello to everybody, and especially to where's she gone? Annie, bless her. Annie's in A&E in Surrey. Accident and emergency. They've got a situation on the go over there. Annie, we hope lots of prayers and love for you. She's incredible. I don't know how you're doing it, Annie. It's like she's getting everything in the kitchen sink thrown at her at the minute. So please, if you send some thoughts to Annie and her family, please, guys. Lovely to have you with us, though, Annie. She'll be laughing about it somewhere. She's so resilient. And to Carol, hi, Carol, Carol Joy Broadbent, thanks for joining us. Melody, hi, Melody. Lovely to see you with us. Robert's with us. Thank you, Robert. Lynn, do you want to say hello, Sue?
Yeah. we've got Ruth here, and yeah, Robert, Rish, and Annie. My thoughts go out to you as well, and everybody else who's on here might not be able to see now, but yeah, thanks for joining us. It's all very spontaneous.
Yeah, thank you. 8 hours, Annie. She's been there. 8 hours at A&E. 8 hours.
How terrible.
Oh, okay. Let's see if we can get it all sorted and send you some thoughts and get you out there quick. So, Robert, don't you think that if you didn't go up this road and down that road, that we wouldn't have learned what we did along the way? Over to you, Sue.
Not supposed to say that, Robert, because that's exactly what happens, isn't it? You know, pick up what you need and you learn to discard that you don't. Only at the time, the human side starts to get a little bit impatient and thinks, oh, you know, I want to go on that track. I'm not doing that. You know, as the inspirations coming, I'll do that. But nothing is ever wasted. And it's like we learn there are no coincidences because over the years, I used to think sometimes, and this was the human arrogance and ego coming in, what on earth am I doing here? I'm not learning what I thought I came to learn here. And everybody just seems to be, there's turmoil within the group or something. And it's only later you come away and think, what was that about? And of course, it was about learning about energies, energetic missiles going around the room and all the rest of it. So you learn something, even if you've gone there and it doesn't seem to be about anything of the reason that you went. And
Yeah.
it's so invaluable. I
I,
just wish that, you know, I hadn't been quite so impatient sometimes, but that's the control, isn't it? It takes a lot to start reducing that.
yeah. Yeah. It's true.
True.
I liken it, you know, I always go back to the spiral of truth.
Yeah.
This, when we're talking about going down all these different routes, whether they're correct or not, we can use the, you know, all road leads to Rome kind of thing. Don't matter which one we're on. But the spiral of truth is this image of consciousness moving, taking one step after the other, and it's ascending constantly. And I've never been one for believing that saying, which is 2 steps forward and 1 step back. I kind of get it loosely, but I don't take it on board fully because I don't believe it fully. I think when we take a step forward, we are going forward. And that's it, sort of thing. And exactly what you were saying. So there's always something in that next step. The step we're taking, there is something in the periphery. Either we need that experience or we're requesting and asking for that experience again to help us expand and constantly, you know, keep turning the light up. It's almost like we're constantly turning the light up as a direct result of the experiences which we're experiencing. And this business of going round and round in circles, I'm no longer convinced about it. But now I think that's almost been a loop, what's contained us and constricted us. I think now with a spiral effect, it's this progressive thing. However, we can slip back, as in we can descend. We've got a choice in any given moment, whether we ascend, stay where we are, or descend on the spiral. And then it's determined as to how we feel. We are going to, if we descend, we're going to contract and draw back inwards. If we ascend, naturally we're going to expand, and there's a bit slight more clarity. And I think in any given moment, each one of us, every soul, is at some specific point on it, on the spiral of their truth. And it's like when we take that next step and we attune to a different frequency in the whole awareness of whatever, you know, this cosmic thing is, the whole, the source, whatever we call it. So good point, Robert, thank you.
Robert. Also, I feel it is an opportunity as we learn, as we start to become more aware, we develop this more sense of self and we start to know ourselves. We realise that's also been part of the process. because we start to look at our interactions with other people. We look at our, where we've wanted to grasp control, or we look at our impatience and all these things that actually come from the egoic part of us.
Yeah.
And gradually that's where the humility starts to come in, because we realize that we've been living and acting out and having these experiences through all that stuff as well. So everything that we're doing is part of that process of having that realization, having that opportunity to sort of reassess and let some things go. And it is a process, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some people may have like this massive change almost overnight, and that does happen. I mean, you could talk about that, Colin, but um, a lot of the time it's still a process of understanding ourselves and thinking, okay, I'm moving in a different way of being, and therefore everything else has to sort of change with it, because it has to start coming into alignment, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we have this period of time where we feel as if, well, nothing's happening now, it's coming to a dead stop. And I used to get quite frustrated about all that, and I might still do sometimes. But it's that period for assessing. It's that period for adjusting to that new being that you are in that moment that's still changing. So even that's not wasted. We're never really stuck when we think we are. It's part of, it takes the time it takes. And having gone through this, and I'm still going through this, and it's just a continuing process of unfolding. It's okay to say this to other people, because we've been doing it and are continuing to do it now, aren't we? So it's not like, follow me, I know the way. It's difficult sometimes, and that's the truth of it.
Yeah. So definitely, I like what you're saying about that. It's that continuous unfoldment, isn't it? I'm of the firm belief now that those it is rare that almost overnight transformation is exceptionally rare. And for so many, probably at minimum 98% of people, it is that gradual process, that peeling back of the layers, making those adjustments as it's happening, accepting them pauses and perceiving the pauses as a positive thing. Go, okay, there's a pause. It might feel I'm at a standstill. Let me shift my perspective of it. Let me utilize it. Go into the stillness, meditate, pause, practice patience, whatever we do with it. Because it is exactly what you've said. It's still part of the journey, an intricate part. I remember the old saying when some people said, "Oh, it's not. It's as if spirit's not around me at the minute," and it's like, well, actually, that could be when they're the closest, doing most of the hard work for the next stage of our journey, sort of thing. So I always get intrigued by all the multi layers and those many different aspects upon each layer, and we're just kind of somewhere at the center point of it, looking and sensing all these different things in any given moment, on what we call the path, which we can move to shortly, because I wanted to try and just bring in that when we're looking at the journey, and I often make reference to the healing, the mediumship, the channeling, and the trance, and it's clear they're all interconnected. One is a deepening of the other. Trance is just a deeper version of mediumship. Mediumship is obviously when spirit are close to somebody at a distance, so they're just getting closer, and we're catching what they're saying, that communication, and we open up further to getting closer. So eventually, somewhere along this line of the journey through those aspects, the deep trance state, or the I'll say correct channeling, takes place. But ultimately, I don't even think it's about any of the abilities. I think they're just natural abilities, what life now is telling us. I think it's about that cherishing of others and helping others and being of benefit of others. That always seems to be the underlying present frequency within each of us. And there's all variations of it. Some people probably are better at it than others, or the more, not so much better, but they probably do it more than others. And then that mix of, well, I've got my life to lead, but I want to work with spirit as well, so I'm adjusting at this position, etc., etc. And I absolutely love it when I look at the world at the minute, apart from, certain area. I love all the diversity, the beauty of diversity in the spiritual space and the way everybody's kind of managing their own journey, so to speak. There's something exceptionally wonderful about it for me when I sense and view and perceive it. Okay, we can go off on the tangent and go, okay, that's out of order. They shouldn't be doing that, blah, blah. But it's like, why? We can just kind of keep that to one side, because that's who we all are anyway. Nobody's saying, that this person is 100% correct, that person is 100% correct, etc. It's like, the beauty is we're just all on the journey, and we're back to supporting each other again. I think so.
It's the threads weaving together, isn't it? Really, in all the different glorious colours and energies, and that's what takes it back to the oneness. It's like making the cloth, isn't it? It's all these different threads weaving, wefting, and the beauty of that.
Just want to say a quick hello to Jill Santos. Hi, Jill. Thank you so much. Lovely to have you with us. And to Francis. Francis has joined us. Hi, Francis. Thanks for joining us. There was one. Oh, Yasmin.
We didn't say before, yeah.
Yeah, Rish was going to put a music on, then found us. So, Yasmin, here we go. He's been more aware, beneficial. I feel like I'm too aware now. Oops, sorry for laughing. It can sometimes hinder what I say, as I'm conscious. Just a question, what do you guys think? Is being more aware beneficial? What do you think so?
Well, actually, no. I'm just thinking about it being beneficial. It is, but it's all depending on the approach, isn't it? It's being aware, but it's not being attached to it, because part of the awakening, part of the developing awareness and greater consciousness is about detachment as well, because when it starts, if something starts to bother us, it's because we're attached to it in some way. And so along with everything else that we're actually doing it with our unfoldment, it's a tremendous amount when you start putting it into language, like the letting go, the following our inspiration, and all the human stuff, the experiences that are feeding into that, and we're sorting that out as well. And so with the awareness, that can be sometimes it can lead to an overload, and I can understand that in so many different ways. But that's where we have to learn to go into our stillness. It's all part of the process. It's like when we say, one step in front of the other, or a little bit at a time, or sometimes we move forward a bit more. It isn't just like one little aspect. It's a whole load of different things that are kind of feeding in. And when you try to talk about it, you think, whoa, that's a bit mind-blowing. But it starts to change in the way that it becomes a sense of being, because you start to learn to be able to, you could say, to start off with, to cope within it all, but stand back from it and start to accept that that's how things are. Things are changing, and you're seeing things. It's not that it's new and only just happening. A lot of the things that we see have been going on all the time around us. We're only just more aware. Yeah. And so it's a case of not getting too sucked into, oh my God, which does happen to start with. But again, that is part of, it has an effect on us, but then we're moving all the time into a sense of self-mastery. where we don't get quite so caught up in things. And that's not to say that we don't feel things, we don't have compassion for things that are going on in the world or to our nearest and dearest and all the rest of it. We do, but we don't get consumed by it in the same way. And I'm saying, we don't get consumed by it in the same way. Well, something could happen around me very shortly and I get consumed by it. But the self-mastery part comes in where we have to pull away, detach a bit more, go into a sense of focus and a sense of space and start to go into that different state of being.
Yeah.
Colin, would you like to add any more to that?
Yeah. So there's almost nothing I could add to that. I think you've said it perfectly. I would say to Yasmin, is being more aware beneficial? Most definitely. And exactly what Sue said, it's learning how to manage. In effect, what we're doing, we're trying to manage the information. It's not even really knowledge when we first sense information. We're sensing the information, we're sensing data. We're, as receptive beings, we're sensing that kind of on the screen, so to speak, or let's put it correctly, the information within the ether. We're sensing the information. When we start to kind of absorb it in order to analyze it, that's the trick. That's where it becomes tricky, because we kind of wish to analyze the information and dissect it initially before we absorb the truth in that information, what we're looking for, what fits correctly to us. We have a tendency to absorb quite a sufficient amount of information and not dissect it, either not dissect it at all or not dissect it correctly. So we're carrying almost, I'm cautious, but almost excess information because we become a sponge. And especially when the mind is awake and aware, it goes into that feed me mode. Feed me. And it becomes like a sponge. And just like a sponge, when it becomes full with water, it becomes heavy. Even with spiritual knowledge, it can become heavy. Exactly what Sue was saying. So every so often we've got to pause, wring the sponge out, get the spring back in, let the air go through it. And that's like our mind. So be more aware, or in this case, hang on, let's have a look. Yeah, be more aware. Is it beneficial? Totally. But it's about managing it. Definitely, 100%. And I feel like I'm too aware now. I get that, Yasmin, I get that. I would also say we can never be too aware. We're aware of what our awareness and what we are aware of is exactly and precisely what we're supposed to be aware of. So again, it's managing our energies especially in relationship to the external world. Classic, we always find that the more expansive the awareness of a mind is, the more it's going to retract from the external world. It's going to find it quite difficult to keep merging and blending with the normal kind of frequencies, what's out there. So we're constantly playing this role, stepping in and out. But it's back here at all times, like Sue was saying. Brilliant. I think that was a brilliant thought, Yasmin. A beautiful response, Sue. Great stuff. Yeah, the sponge. It's almost like it's funny because I had it put in my mind a few minutes ago. It's almost as if we're kind of, often we can find that we're like a weightlifter or somebody in a gym. We're trying to pick weights up what are too heavy for us because we haven't trained ourselves sufficiently to pick those particular size of the weights up. It doesn't mean we can't pick any of the weights up. We can pick them all up if our mind and our energies are correct. If we've trained our mind sufficiently, then we can carry whatever we're carrying. And we know ultimately, that's what I thought, Yasmin. What's difficult, the in and out. It happens to all of us, Yasmin. And of course, what's happening is the more aware we become, the brighter our light is shining, and it's not so much the brighter our light is shining, it's more the intensity of our light and the clarity of our awareness then makes us more receptive to the external energies. And that's where we can get into a bit of difficulty sometimes. Oh, how do I manage this person? What do I say in this situation or these circumstances? You just go to exactly where Sue said, you go to that stillness and that peace within and ensure, and this is what Spook's been trying to tell us and continue to do more so now, to protect our mind. In effect, what they're saying, protect your energies, protect that sensitivity without losing it, without letting life make us hard. We've got to keep that real kind of sense of equilibrium in managing our energies and managing where we are in the world and how we deal with, because we have got a lot. There's so much playing out at the moment, so much and so many energies flying around. It's almost like everybody's taking a constant bombardment. So preparation and managing our energies is more important now than it's ever been. So
No,
good point, Yasmin. Yes, Sue.
that's important, where without making ourselves hard, because we talk about being more detached from it. But what happens with, as we're going through this, the process or the unfoldment, the compassion gets stronger, but in a different way. It's kind of like in a detached way, but you can still feel the grief for the world, or whatever it is. It doesn't. That's the trick. In some ways, because you start to become more centered, more aware, that there can be a temptation occasionally, especially early on, to think, "Oh, I can't take this. I need to shut it down and switch it off and become detached in that way." But that's closing off. And the whole process of what's actually happening is we're opening up our senses and feeling and being. And I use the word being because we're moving away from, in a way, where we live our human lives as the human side of things, and we're having human experiences, but we get stuck in it as a story.
Yeah.
And so it's also releasing that sort of story and moving into a sense of being, and that starts to take us where we go into other ways of managing ourselves. And it is through these, the spiral that Colin was talking about, where we go round and round and we revisit things, but that's where we gather the um, the tools, if you like. I don't like calling them tools, but the know-how.
Yeah.
And we know that we start to know the only way that we can be in a sense of equilibrium is to find that stillness and that peace within ourselves. There is nothing out there that will fix it. Only you can create your own inner sanctuary, your own stillness, your own peace. And even if to start with, you just catch it for a few seconds or half a minute or something, and you drop into that space. You've been going about your daily business, and you can just take a breath or breathe and drop into that space. And gradually, and I hope this is true myself, spend more time in that space.
Yeah.
So it's work in progress here as well, folks.
Yeah, all the time, Sue, isn't it? Beautifully said. And I think it's really important what you've said as well about going within, spending time in that stillness. That really is where we, and I don't like using the word master, and you said it, self-mastery. It's almost that we somehow step into that inner light of our own awareness and sense the beauty of it. And we never want to leave it. I know there's this thing, and it's continuous as well. It's going to fade at some point. In fact, we're seeing signs, even by what you've just said to. The physical world is when people say, well, we're human first before we're anything else. It's like, no, I disagree. I'm really sorry. If we spend too much time grounded and earthed and in the physical plane, we're in danger of losing the connection with the light of spirit and those cosmic beings. It's about the constant adjustment, what we have to make, what fits each one as an individual. So Colin can't say everybody, don't be in the physical. It's not for Colin to say that. But I think this whole business about the physical world and the perception of the physical world is exactly what's held us down and chained us to the lower or to the densities of these earthly states. And now we're beginning to see, purely simply because we're expanding consciousness, we're beginning to now perceive that the state of matter is not actually as solid as what we previously thought. There's variations of matter, finer and purer and finer and purer, and so on and so on. It just we're now entering into that stage where we're probably making less reference to the physical body, to the physical world, because we've been attached to the title of it, and having that attachment to the title, I'm in a physical body. This is my physical body, and we're now receiving the teachings, what's telling us the reality and true nature of what this physical form actually is. And we're shaking those, chains and shackles off, or they're getting dissolved, and go, oof, okay. I mean, and we know if we go a lot further, what appears to be a lot further, but it's only a short step, we know the physical body is not actually its true nature is not actually as we perceive it with our ordinary mind. When we move our mind to a different frequency, we perceive the physical, like we see everything else different. We start perceiving the physical environment different as well. This is the part of awakening, and I absolutely love Sue and the journey.
Yeah.
Changing perceptions. What I once thought was this, and now my mind has moved. I'm seeing it entirely different. Sorry, go on, Sue.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it, really? And we start to see signs of that we would, so many where our spiritual aspect, if we want to call it that, or spirit work through us when we may help somebody else, or work in a way that we touch somebody else, whether it's compassion or a simple helping act of kindness or whatever it is. And quite often, if we were able to see that, we would see the energy of spirit, and with spirit, there's no separation really. It's just the energy of spirit and spirit working through us. And so, with whatever we're aspiring, whether it's mediumship, trance, channeling, or anything like that, it's a lot of that is happening already in a different way. It's just working through us. There are some people, I'm not a healer, I'm not this, that, or the other, or whatever it is. But there is something about their light, something about their energy. It might be the tone of their voice. It might be the kindness in the way that they happen to be there just at the right time for somebody. That is spirit of spirit working through that person. And they're not having to sit there in trance or sit there for however long it is for that to come through. It is a natural part of what's happening. And so we're not that far removed from it already. We just haven't been aware.
Yeah.
And we may have seen it happening through other people, but we don't realise it happens through ourselves as well, more than we know. And sometimes it's just by finding the right words at the right time that just helps somebody through in that moment.
So true. So, yeah, absolutely beautiful. It's funny because I was thinking about the veil. That we can say that the veil is now thinning. We can say there never was a veil. It was an illusion.
Yeah.
But again, we're using terminology. What I'd like to move to next is, I know I wanted to talk about channeling, the difference between channeling and trance, but I think that it is still not right to come in at this minute. What I wanted to kind of kindly move towards is, and I just want to say to everybody who's here with us, thank you so much for joining us. And if you've got any comments or thoughts or questions, please put them in the chat, and we'll try and get to them. And we appreciate the fact that you've joined us, everybody. So thank you so much. And Debbie Romero was here. Hi, Debbie. Lovely to have you with us. I wanted to kind of move slightly towards, we know the change is here. Likely we are the change and we've created the change. And we know now we're looking at a situation in the world which is extremely volatile, potentially change, potentially has implications of for huge change on the planet. But I also wanted to kind of move through the awareness that there's just, it's almost like a smoke screen what's playing out there. And it's very easy for a lot of people to get distracted, but there's a reality to it which we must, no, we're not that we must, but it's likely we discuss it and talk about it, due to, mainly for most people, due to the suffering what's taking place, because most humans don't want to see it and feel it, and that wish, we all have that wish to prevent it. But I'm just curious what your thoughts are, Sue, on this shift to the lighter vibrations of awareness on the planet in relation to these layers, what's playing out, i.e. the Middle East, that region there, Russia, the major players, Africa situations. There's all these kind of layers, but we know the light is present and the light seems to be ever expanding by the moment. I just wanted to see if you had any thoughts you'd want to share on that perspective of it whole.
This is where we're aware through our human selves and our compassion and what we actually see to us. And that is, of course, it's going to affect us. But this is where it's perhaps not quite so easily understood, where we start to have that detached out and see and know, but we may not be able to articulate it, that it is bringing in massive change. It touches people's heart. It brings in compassion. People and have to help each other one way or another. It's breaking down the old ways of doing things. If only it's happened over and over again over the centuries, and we say, well, that just hasn't worked. Humanity's still doing it. And I did have the thought today, well, they're spending all that on all the arms and all the destruction. And yet they've, in their own country and around the world, there are people in abject poverty. There's all this money being spent in destruction. And you can't actually quantify that really in lots of ways. You think if you're a stranger that came in from somewhere else, off a different planet, and you saw all that, you just couldn't get your head around it really. And so there has to be where, because we're starting to see the illusion of that is starting to waken people up. They're starting to see more in a whole spectrum of things, not just what I've been talking about there. And finally, none of this has worked in all the stuff we repeated all this time. And it has to change. And we know within ourselves, because we're starting to change and see things, and we know that we can't carry on listening to certain control energies, that this is the way to do things, when we know within our deep within our being, this is not something that we can carry on doing. The change is coming in. So we start to see things. I start to see things when I can move into that space, and it does involve having the focus and going into stillness, that there's a much bigger picture to this. The whole earth is shifting and changing. It's changing its bodies, its landmass, its water. Everything is shifting. Humanity's shifting and changing. It's waking up to the realization that people feel like they did before. They can see beyond different things. So much has happened over the years. We can go back to when there was the lockdown situation, how that changed. But in a way, I wouldn't be sitting here now speaking with Colin and with people here joining us, because we just wouldn't have done that. It took that set of circumstances that brought people together around the world. And so, in a way, all this stuff that's unfolding now, that really, from one point of view, it's absolutely horrific. But to step back, behind all that, there's something else going on. There's light and energy and streams pouring in to try and change the way we've been. And we've been imprisoned in this density for so long. It's taking a lot to shift and break things up, and also to shed light on different ways of working and different ways of being, and thinking, this doesn't resonate with me anymore. This doesn't sit right. And some people have been talking about stuff for years and years and years. But that wave of knowingness, that wave of shift and change is getting bigger and bigger and bigger all the time. And so I don't have all the answers, or any of the answers really. I just know that it's part of bringing in a massive shift for humanity that's already shifting and moving. It's already letting go of its own shackles of the density of the human body, the human thinking.
Sorry, Sue, I lost that last bit.
As human beings, we're also shifting and changing, where we're loosening the shackles of the human form, the human mind. And it's all part of a huge process. And when we say before about trusting the intelligence of spirit, we're all a part of that, and it's playing out through us, through our human side, but also through the spiritual aspect and the light aspect. Collectively, individually, remember, individually, you can still send out light sat in your living room at home. Don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah, so, yeah, beautifully said, Sue. Thank you so much. It was that what I was trying to kind of prompt, I suppose. There's so many layers playing out simultaneously at the moment. And it's important not to get attached to just one or two of those layers. It's so easy for people to fall into at the minute. This event is spread over the news. And interestingly enough, there's hardly any real information coming out about it. It's so difficult to get through the mass of misinformation in order to find glimpses of the truth. But I think the mind's got to be very careful. Individuals have got to be very careful not to be drawn into it, that fear energy, etc. And of course, there's so much playing out behind the scenes. There's so much playing out. Of course, lots of many different aspects going on, while this is kind of the main show on the stage, so to speak. Then there's so many things forgotten. The situation in Ukraine, the European, the structure of the European Union and the West, so many aspects playing out. I mean, this is just the kind of the geopolitical, a touch of the geopolitical side. And yet, here we are with this phenomenal, and I'll say it, spiritual awakening taking place, this massive unfoldment and opening up of the human psyche and the expansion of consciousness, which is bringing clarity. And like you said, the density, I've always likened it to a cesspit, and it's got this solid, thick layer and crust on it, and it's gone totally rigid. And the light's just literally now blasting it, and it's breaking it all up. And underneath is the stagnant waters, which now are becoming cleansed and cleared and transformed. And the density is the using the word conditions, the conditioning of the human species, the human race, which has been so well manipulated and induced upon the human psyche, is so thick around the mind, that's now been obliterated. So we're seeing these two aspects. On the one hand, we're seeing this wonderful light shining and like this positive virus spreading every single second of the day around the planet. That classic, no stone's going to be left unturned, so to speak. And on the other side, we've got this almost megalomaniac sense of, control and wish to grasp power of the planet like it's never happened before. It's like it's trying to seize the opportunity, and you've got these two aspects playing out simultaneously. And I think it's so important that we have that sense of detachment. We step back and we try and get that, that ascended view over it and go, okay, where are spiritual beings in this? Where are cosmic beings in this? And I know some people go, well, obviously they're here. I get that. Of course, we both get that. Me and yourself, sir. But what I'm trying to express is the multi-layered and multi-tiered aspects of all this event and where we place our mind in the moment regarding it all. And I think you've said it beautifully. To go within, and not just to protect the mind, but not to get drawn in, not to get distracted too much. Observe it, but also be aware that on this fear factor which is around the world, which is constant, this constant cycle, what they do, churning the same old story out, and the same old players, just different faces, year after year, decade after decade, centuries after centuries, and now all of a sudden it's coming to a standstill, it's coming to a stop, because everybody's going, sorry, no, this isn't acceptable. This isn't the way we wish to live. And that silent power of the light of what I call the light of enlightenment, which is coming, is really changing the game. And this is why I make reference to the earth plane rather than the earth. I perceive it more as an earth plane. And from that, we can perceive the spiritual beings, the cosmic beings, and that working and harmonizing what we do, and so many do around the world, in the channeling of the light, the trance, etc., bringing those beings forward and receiving not just the words of inspiration, but that kind of indicator of hope that this was all planned, this is all set up in order for us to take that step into what's referred to as the new earth, the transformation of this state of the planet to the next state. And I don't want to say it's exciting times. On the one hand, it is. On the other, it's devastating. So for me, I remove myself from both of them. It is what it is. And I think as souls in a body, all of us, it's important. It's so important that we don't let ourselves become hardened. We don't fall into a negative mindset. We don't go in, taking the side, that person's right, that person's wrong, they shouldn't be doing something. It's like we need to pause and just go, okay, what's my role in all this as an individual soul? Why have I come here? I'm going to play that one. If somebody asks me my opinion, I'll give them my opinion, kind of thing. And I think it's so delicate at the minute. And yet there's a strength in the cosmos which seems to be calling us at this moment, saying everything's okay. Everything, it might appear that it is not okay, but ultimately it is okay and it's going to be okay. Keep your strength and keep moving forward. So, but
I feel mindful of people who are caught up in these horrendous situations that, we're talking about moving into a different space and seeing it from a different perspective, if you like. That's not going to be so easy for some people that are caught up in horrendous situations all over. I'm not just talking about one particular corner of the world at the moment. I'm talking about everywhere.
Yeah.
And so we're mindful of that as well. And you think, well, the souls that are there, I feel that we elected to be placed in certain places at certain times. And again, that's not something that somebody who may have missiles going over their skies, so something to think about. So this is where the human side comes in, doesn't it? It comes in with the compassion, and how do we stop this? And all the different things that I can look at if I watch the television, and just, if I'm not careful, my human side, I can shift in that space and I can start to take sides.
Yeah.
I learned a lesson with that last year when I wanted to post something. I did and took it down because I was human side was so incensed by something. And I thought, if I had done that, when we start taking sides, and this is a very difficult thing to be taken on board, I appreciate that. We perpetuate the illusion. We perpetuate the divide and rule. We perpetuate the us and them. Huge step when we talk about how we're shifting and changing in our physicality and our understanding and our seeing beyond the illusion. It is a huge step to start understanding and seeing it from a completely different perspective. And really, part of me feels, because I'm attached when I'm listening to what you're saying, Colin, and I'm saying, and I'm looking around the world thinking the situations where this would be the last sort of thing they'd want to be hearing, because they're too busy surviving and all the different things. So it's very difficult in a way to have some of these conversations and to be able to reach people where it can be understood. And I appreciate that in a way that I haven't got the language to get it across. It's with the awareness and the understanding in as the illusions dissolved. It's not something that's, let's say a human mind can say it to a human mind in the language you're using and to be understood.
Yeah.
I don't mean that quite the way it sounds, but it's trying to acknowledge the difficulty, what we've been talking about, being understood in other areas of things where things are happening that, we might sound like flying off out there and in some sort of utopia. Of course, it's not like that.
No, of course not. So, yeah.
To all of that, Colin, I don't know how else to articulate it, really.
No, I think you've done it brilliant. So, we are, when we look at it, we are exceptionally sensitive beings. We are affected by destruction and suffering, as well as we are by love and compassion. But I think where we're at the moment is, I don't want to say perfect. It's okay for Colin to sit here in this present space, relatively safe, etc., when others are not. But I totally agree when you said that if we get drawn to one side or the other, and we're going to fall into the trap. We're going to fall into the trap of that, in your words, perpetuating the illusion. we're part of allowing it to continue. And I think when we stop ourselves, even though we wish to make a comment, and I've done the same, there has been certain times, and I mean, previously, many years ago, woof, that's when I was at my closest. Thunder was flying inside me over some of the things. And yet, that kind of frequency there's a certain frequency of spiritual awareness. When that is present, it's not that all is good, but it prevents, and I'm going to say the lower frequencies of our own awareness, or it prevents our consciousness dropping into lower frequencies where that reactive mode might come into play. Sometimes it's tempting.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes it's very tempting to go, okay, let's get into the affray. It's time to go into the affray. And that light, that inner light within ourselves, or the inner light of the soul, or the spiritual guide, or cosmic beings, just press the pause button. Go, just be still. And in that stillness, that clarity comes. It's like, okay, there's a breathing space. And the moment passes. That where there was a moment of potential reaction, frequency changes, that frequency dissolves. It's like, okay, we continue forward. And honestly, I can't wait. It's not that I can't wait. I look forward to the day when humanity can go into that space within themselves and feel not just the relief of it, but the benefits of being in that space, and not being pulled or magnetized. The last bit on this one for me, Sue, is using the word magnetize. We know our mind is magnetized to frequencies of its equal magnitude, like attracts like, basically. So if our mind is in that frequency where it's attracted to that gross frequency of destruction, it's going to be enticing for the mind to move in that direction. And yet the magnetic pull of light, and especially in the two aspects, the magnetic pull of the light of that which is around us, spiritual light, cosmic light, and the light in alignment with the light of the soul, which we are, is the saving grace, I think, for all of us. I know it is for me, definitely. Because we know we can shift in different directions. So it's about maintaining that center point within, I should imagine, and that alignment. And like we said previously, as soon as we step out of alignment, we're in trouble, we're in difficulty, until we pull ourselves back into that. I think what you said, or
Trying to into the trap and hold us in the density. And this is why when we talk right at the beginning about the unfolding and the amount of, well, we can call it work. I find sometimes we use language now and the words don't quite seem right, but that's the best we have to utilize currently. It'll be more a sense of knowingness, and that we have a completely different energy and a different feel around it. But it does actually take work, and you didn't like the word self-mastery. Well, nor do I. But it's just to say, I have to manage myself in the best way that I can, and I'm learning to shift and to anchor the light within myself more. But it does take effort. It's like having to develop the muscle, isn't it? It's back to the gym that you mentioned earlier, isn't it? You have to keep going at it. And I just feel that, we're having this amazing conversation. But I know that I can still get triggered by different things, and I think, yeah, I've still got to keep going and pull myself back, and it takes a lot of effort.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of focus. Um, Hopefully, it does get easier, but does it? Does that? In a way, it probably does, but maybe more things come around where there's a greater sense of transformation and a greater sense of work coming forward, for want of a better word, and holding the space and holding the light and and because we're all creators, so we're creating a different space, a different way of being, a different um, paradigm to live in, however, whatever that actually means to each individual.
Yeah.
I think maybe there has to be, for myself here, some sort of acceptance too, that I can have these conversations.
Yeah.
I'm well aware of the human aspect in a different way and the different densities. But maybe there needs to be the awareness of that too, because as we're transforming and shifting ourselves, we're also working on these denser energies. Because as we're expanding the light, and you've said this many times, Colin, it's going to touch the heavier, denser energies and help break that up. So we can't go off out on a tangent thinking, oh, I'm fine, I'm all light and fluffy now, because you're rolling sleeves and getting on with this, and we're all working at it. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
We're in this. We came here at this particular time to be part of this. So, if you like, we are rolling up our sleeves and doing the best we can in
Yeah.
whatever we can. Each and every one of us, wherever we are in our unfolding awareness.
Absolutely beautiful, Sue. Yeah, absolutely. So I think we can leave it on that note for this one, Sue. What do you think?
It's all a bit deep, wasn't it?
It was absolutely
Any
beautiful.
jokes, Colin?
It was one of them. So just quickly, Rish, I just wanted to quickly. I'm going to have to apologise to somebody because I'm late for something else now. Anyway, what is a human anyway? From the womb, everyone's been told that they are human. DNA, galactic origins are far more than just human. Totally. I'm sure Sue will agree with this as well.
Oh, yeah,
Rish,
absolutely.
absolutely, totally. I mean, human, when we play with words, is hue, colour, and man, woman, doesn't matter, but we're, being. So we are beings of colour, i.e. light beings. So it's kind of in there. I'm not even going to open up how they played with words. Anyway, totally good point, Rich. So,
Thank you.
absolutely. Yeah. Any final words, Sue?
No, not really. I think it's been, I've no idea what we've said, really, to be honest. So I hope that it's actually been inspirational for somebody out there. Thank you, everybody who's come along. I'd like to say everybody that's come along to listen and join in and that support MCG and everything that they do, Colin and Ava. So thank you.
So, well, I mean, you've just said it. It's. You mentioned that moment where, when there's always something which can be sometimes on some occasions heavier to move and shift, even though we've been doing it for years. And the word sprung to mind, support. This is for me. This is why we just continue. It's so important that everybody in the spiritual space and everybody on the planet keeps supporting each other, because and then we can get through it as best in a more. I don't know. We'll get through it anyway. That's the one. We're about trying to go outside of that. So thank you, Sue. Absolutely. Thank you for everything, what you do for Ethereal Virtual Centre, and to everybody else. Especially to Annie Claire. Good luck, Annie. Hope everything's moving well over there where you are at the hospital. Send our love to who. I won't say the name, so I don't want to cause anybody's embarrassment. But good luck with everything. To everybody, thank you. Reece, Francis, everybody who's joined us. Hopefully Sue will join us again. We'll be able to give, we'll jump on at some point when that moment's correct.
Meant to be this evening, all the surprise.
Yeah. I love these spontaneous ones. So thank you, and thank you to Ava behind the scenes, who's been sparked up and firing away. Cosmic Lounge, we have got more stuff coming up. Please check the calendar for it. And we'll be back very soon. And we're looking for more guests to join us on the Cosmic Lounge. Your views, your perception are valid and the matter. And I 100% sure that people will appreciate you. Tabby, she said it. So lots of love from all of us to Tabby. And hope she gets well very soon. I'm pleased you put it, Annie. I wasn't going to embarrass. I wasn't going to say the name. So thank you. Great stuff. Sue, Ava.
Bye-bye then.
See you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.